How's it going, guys? Coffee here. Today I wanted to go over the updates that I have for the Carino Ring of Blades. This is almost a bit of an apology video. I guess we were joking about that there were some things that we did have running in the old build that were not as efficient as some other potential options, and yeah. So for that, I do apologize, but here's the correction to that based off of what we've actually been able to test and learn now. We have made some adjustments to the build, mainly defensively, in order to comfortably do T8-4. We are running on the God of War tree now instead of God of Hunting. Part of it is to proc what just happened there, what you just saw, which is I did proc the basically cheat death mechanic when that occurs every now and then. But the other defensive option that we are running is that I am running I am blur stacking as well as avoidance stacking in order to get to the damage avoidance cap. So I'm over 90% avoidance with blur and other things, but the damage avoidance cap I'm fairly positive is 90%, even though it doesn't say anything. I know it was 90% before when I used to run it on Bing. So I'm pretty sure that's roughly the same thing of what's going on. So with the blur stacking that we have going on, we are still hitting damage cap, or dummy damage cap rather, in our DPS pets. So that's what we are running, and then we're using those and in order to basically get the most defenses that we can while still having a pretty good offensive shell. So let's go ahead and go into the updates that we have ended up doing for the build. So first things first, we have changed our tree. As I mentioned, we are now running God of War instead of Goddess of Hunting. What this does do, it gives you some extra defense and avoidance. It gives you a +1 physical here. You get even more life and defense here. We get some skill area, projectile speed, and then we are able to run instant smash here, which is a nice little DPS boost. It's about on par with what you were getting from Rushed, so this doesn't really change. But you are getting determined here, which does basically keep you alive in the case of what you just saw happen earlier in the map. I got procced because of the ephemeral guardian things or whatever, the apparitions that attacked me. And other than that, the ranger tree pretty much stays exactly the same. We're still pushing that, and the marksman tree stays the same as well, where we are just pushing the projectile speed, damage avoidance, and then we're taking the life ES and projectile speed. The slates have been updated or changed. And this was purely so I could stack as many +2 levels as I can. I wanted to ensure that I got to 30. I did end up getting to 31 even, so I was able to find a peculiar vibe with a +1. It doesn't need to be +1 all. It can be +1 to all or physical or persistent. So I was able to find this. What peculiar vibe is mainly offering, it is giving us the damage, as well as it is giving us a chance to cause elemental ailment. What this means is that for your God of War slate, you can now just buy one that has +1 physical, as well as 150% knockback. And then you can roll for kind of whatever off of that. And then, which meant that we did update all of our slates. So every single slate we have does have +1 now on it. So we have +1 spell skill level along with our blessing stacks here. I did get lucky to roll some crit damage here as well, which is really nice. And then we have this one here for a +1 physical and then a mana restoration. That is one difference. You do end up needing to get some sort of either mana restoration node or mana cost reduction if you are going to run the God of War version, because you are no longer getting reduced mana cost from your tree. Then we do have +1 physical here, as well as the Focus Blessing mod. And then we have here with the +1 spell skill level, along with the restore missing life on severe injury. For the tree itself, the changes that I did notice is that, or that we did end up finding out about rather, is that the you are actually getting more damage with Fixate than what we were getting with Archery Bond. When I tested this before, I forgot that I was testing Fixate plus Archery Bond, and I was testing Archery Bond over... main thing is I was testing Archery Bond over the Secret Origin Unleash. So I was getting damage boost from that, but Fixate does outperform the other one as well. So that's one we definitely want to make sure we got to focus on. Or something you do want to ensure you're using is Fixate over Archery Bond. If you are running a single restoration skill or a single defense skill instead of two, then you would still run Archery Bond. But in my case, as I'm pushing the T8 stuff, I am more focused on running the defenses rather than the offenses. So we can kind of go over what we have here on the tree here. So you can see the damage is pretty much going to be the same. You still have a little bit of a ramp period, but you are able to actually get this up to where you are hitting damage cap with it still, even in my full kind of blur setup here. It really depends on, the snapshotting of the crits and certain other things. So, but you are getting a decent enough damage, and it does actually hit damage cap there. It just, again, still relies on getting your blessings up. You have to have your blessings, your full focus blessings and your agility blessings and everything. But we are able to hit this with a pretty defensive setup, so I'm very happy with that. Whether or not it actually wants to hit the damage cap right now while we're doing this, that's another story. But either way, let's go over the gear changes that we have made as well. So let's go ahead and go over those right now. First things first, we have, so the Elemental Sea Fog is the same. We did end up replacing our Curse on Hit ring with a blur stacking ring. If we were to make our build perfect again and add even more damage, the next thing to get upgraded is our Wind Breath Convergence. This does basically need to be made on a Legendary Aptitude 3 one, where I would have this Max Life ES and I would have the Elemental Destruction on hit. So that'll be the next change. If I do end up putting any more money into this character, then we'll go ahead and do that. The next thing, we did get some Elder Sage's Long Gloves here with +2. I did hit Weaken on them. This isn't necessary corruption or anything. I was just trying to hit the ES, but I figured I'd keep it, even though we're getting... we are getting Weakened just from Resurrection Warcry, so it's not that big of a deal either way. But I figured I'd leave it in either way. With the candles, we are running a +2 physical candle and a movement speed candle still. But for our auras, we have updated these as well. We are running a Precise Elemental Resistance now. We do have an Energy Fortress still, and then we have Elemental Amplification. We did end up needing to run a Restrain in order to do this. If you hit a sealed mana mods, on some items, you can avoid this, but because I didn't, we're having to run Restrain. And then everything else is pretty much the same. I did change all my activation mediums to instructions as well. These have come down in price to where these were like 40 FE a piece. So these, you don't have to worry about using activation medium route where you have to, stutter step or anything. These are cheap enough. Again, you can just run them and everything will just auto trigger regardless of if you're moving. The only thing now is there has to be an enemy nearby. So I guess if you're going a really, really long time without finding any monsters, then there's a chance that Blurry Steps doesn't proc at all, but that's about it. Yeah. Other than that, nothing really changed to the gear since the last video. We're still just +2 projectiles on both of these. And then again, we did get our total skill levels up to 31 here. So you want to ensure you're getting to 30, because as you can see, the effectiveness of the added damage spikes way up. So the next step for here for me would just be, again, getting more channeling stacks, as well as getting more projectiles. Pretty much that's where we're at. You can see I did hit my +2 channel stacks, but then I hit a really, really bad roll on the crit damage, but it is what it is. So yeah, next upgrades that I will be making, again, upgrading the Cicada Shell to a 3 AP version, and then same thing for the Wind Breath Convergence. So yeah, so if you're looking for a build that is going to be quite a bit tankier than the other ones, you can see my max res actually goes all the way up to 66 now. So as soon as I actually clean up my gear and fix it, then the res, will all be 66% on everything, other than erosion. You can see the shield is a lot higher. My max life is a lot higher. So this means my max hit, you know, is over 7K now. This has all been really nice. And then again, the damage avoidance, because we have over 100% blur effect now, we are getting 60% chance to avoid damage because of our blur. And then we're getting another 15% chance to avoid while channeling. So that's 75%, plus we have the just 18% that's built in. So we're at 93%. I'm fairly positive this is still capped at 90. So I'm pretty sure we're at 90. It's just not going to show it here. So, but yeah, that's kind of where we're at with the build. It's pretty comfortably farming 8-3 and 8-4 with regardless of what we put into it. I prefer 8-3 personally, just because it's slightly less annoying, and I don't feel like the loot from 8-4 is worth it. Unless, I guess if I push the damage on this a bit higher, I think I'd want to push it probably, honestly, to like 15 trillion before I'd feel super comfortable on 8-4, like reading chat and not having to really pay attention to anything whatsoever. So, but yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. And other than that, see you in the next one.